Hello everybody, I am back home. I am officially back in New York and I have so much to show you, so much to tell you. This is going to be a really fun little collective haul of quite a few books, but also some non-bookish things, some stationery things, some pens, fountain pen. So if you don't know, my parents visited Leon and I in England, so they came to Bristol for a few days and then we spent some time in London and we did a lot of touring in London. My mom has been to London. She was saying that even though she's been there already, this visit with Leon and I and my dad almost felt like her first time visiting England, and it was my dad's first time visiting England, so we did a lot of touristy things and it was just such a wonderful visit and they fell in love with Bristol. We also took them to Bath and that was amazing and they loved Bath as well and it was just such a wonderful trip. So I took some footage while we were adventuring. I didn't film a proper vlog, so I thought I would just put some clips in this video so that you guys could see and I could share those with you because I wanted to really just be in the moment, but I did also feel the impulse to film some things. So I hope that you guys enjoy watching those clips as well. I can't wait to show you what I got because everything feels a little more special than just randomly buying books because they are attached to the memory of this visit with my parents now. And then just to explain, I went home with them. So Leon is currently still in Bristol. He's finishing up some of his exams and then he's going to start his dissertation. I came back to get some work done and do my own thing here. So I miss Leon very much, but we are going to be back together soon, which will be wonderful, and we just had such a great time. The first thing I want to tell you, and then I will get right into my haul, is that I am going to be having an Etsy restock. Now this is one of my biggest Etsy restocks that I've done. I have a ton of restocked author portraits as well as mini bookmarks. I only have one new mini bookmark and that is this one. So I thought I would just show you the new mini bookmark and then I will put on the screen all the authors that will be available and all of the other bookmarks that will be available, so I don't take up too much time in this video. I just wanted to let you guys know I'm not going to do a dedicated Etsy restock video. I just thought I'd let you know in this video. So it is happening this Friday, May 2nd at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will put a countdown on Instagram, so if you want to set that reminder in your phone. The first and new mini bookmark, the only one that I'll show you because it is the new one, is my little daffodil painting. So I fell in love with the spring flowers in Bristol. It was so exciting because it was my first spring in England and it was so exciting to see all the different flowers grow and change and bloom, and I was taking pictures constantly. This painting is based off of a photo that I took of these really beautiful daffodils in our neighborhood. So that is what this bookmark looks like, and it's double-sided. Like most of my bookmarks, it has a really nice buttery texture and it's quite thick. So I hope you guys like the new little mini bookmark of the daffodils. I have, like I said, a bunch of past mini bookmarks that will be available on Friday, as well as a bunch of author portraits. So I hope that if you have been wanting one, that I included one that you've been interested in. I say this all the time, but I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without your support of my channel and my Etsy shop. So thank you so much for being here and subscribing and liking and commenting and just watching in general and being so kind and wonderful, because you guys are truly the best. And I feel so lucky to know you and to have you here watching my videos and supporting me and the artwork I create and the videos I create. So I love you so much and thank you. Okay, enough rambling. Now let's get to probably why you're here, which is the books. So the first book that I ordered, I was so excited about these. I ordered it before my parents arrived and then it arrived in the post the day that they got to Bristol, and that is The New Dress by Virginia Woolf. This is from Penguin's new Penguin Archives collection, which is celebrating the 90th anniversary of Penguin. So all the designs are based on the different designs throughout Penguin's history, which I think is so fascinating. If you look at all of the books in this collection, you can recognize some of the layouts and graphic design of past Penguin designs, which I think is so brilliant. And this one really caught my eye. I love Virginia Woolf. It says, "In these exquisite stories From the genius of English modernism, everyday objects acquire profound significance. A lump of buried green grass leads to a lifetime of obsession. A pale yellow silk dress provokes a painful self-reckoning. A mark on the wall prompts a questioning of reality itself. Beautiful, strange, and pioneering, each piece is a small precious stone to be held to the light and savored. When I read that, I immediately added to cart because that sounds brilliant. So like I said, I love Virginia Woolf. I have read so many of her works and I'm so excited to read this quite slim volume of stories from her. I think she's just such a unique, exquisite, brilliant writer. So those are all of the stories included in this collection. A lot more than I was expecting, honestly. So I'm extremely excited to read this one, of course, which is why I bought it in the first place, and I will let you know what I think of it when I get to it. Have you picked out any of these archive editions? I would love to know if you've seen them, which ones you're interested in, and if you've bought any yourself. I am so excited to read this one and then maybe collect a few of the other ones that I have my eye on. There was also another book in that order, and I saw this book in Waterstones before my parents arrived, and I didn't buy it, but I thought of it every day since not buying it, and I'm so happy to have it and I can't wait to read it, of course. And that is John Steinbeck's Journal of a Novel, The East of Eden Letters. So I am currently in the middle of reading East of Eden. We are reading it for the Game of Tomes book club in April, May, and June, and I am falling more and more in love with it the more I read it. I think it's fascinating. I've been watching a bunch of videos on YouTube about East of Eden and I've been studying it as if I was a scholar. I mentioned this idea in a recent video of mine where you can study literature without having to be a literature student, and this book is kind of in that vein. So on the back it says, every working day from January 29th to November 1st, 1951, John Steinbeck warmed up to the work of writing East of Eden with a letter to Pascal Covici. I think it's how you say his name. Covici? His friend and editor at the Viking Press. It was his way, he said, of getting his mental arm in shape to pitch a good game. Steinbeck's letters were written on the left-hand pages of a notebook. The facing pages were to be filled with the text of East of Eden. They provide an illuminating perspective on Steinbeck's creative process, as well as his views on many subjects: family, work, ideas, the outside world. Part autobiography, part writer's workshop, these letters reveal both Steinbeck, the novelist, and Steinbeck, the man. Doesn't that sound brilliant? Like, being able to understand where he's coming from as a writer and a person while he's writing this epic novel. It's just such an amazing companion to the book. And when I mentioned it in a recent video, so many of you were recommending that I pick it up, and I was immediately regretting not buying it when I first saw it in the bookshop, so I'm so glad that I ended up just ordering it, and I cannot wait to read it. I'm contemplating, maybe you guys can tell me what you think. I don't know if I should read it after I finish East of Eden or start reading it in companion and accompanying East of Eden. So let me know what you think, if you've read this or just your general thought. But I'm so, like I said, so excited about this one. The next book I picked up while exploring a little Waterstones in Bristol, and I was with my parents and Leon, of course. We were just showing them around town, and we went into this little Waterstones in Clifton. I've been really wanting this type of book, and so just for a little background, like I said about the daffodil little mini bookmark, I am in love with flowers. I love nature, I love plants, I love gardening, and that is mainly because I grew up with parents who adore gardening. They love flowers, they love trees. They can't step outside without talking about a plant or talking about a tree or talking about the grass. And so my whole life has just been loving and admiring and nurturing flowers. And while I was experiencing my first spring in England, I was looking at all the different flowers, and there were quite a few that I didn't recognize because England has some flowers that we don't have in the US and in New York. And so I thought it would be a really cool idea to start picking up field guides, in particular flower field guides from the different places that I travel to and visit. So I got a field guides to flowers. So this says good plant guide, more than 1,500 tried and tested plants. And so this is not only flowers, this is just plants in general, but it is from the Royal Horticultural Society. Oh, I forgot I pressed a flower in here. Look, oh my gosh, I forgot I did that. There it is, all pressed in my flower field guidebook. How apropos. It tells you a little bit about the flower itself, the amount of sunlight and water and the different types of soil and how deep in the earth you should plant the flower. And I just think it's fascinating, just learning about plants and seeing all the different plants that are native to an area and the different ones that maybe, like I said, we don't have here. So I looked through every single page of this book with my mom, and what was really cool is there was one plant that we saw. Let me try to find it. So I bought this book the day before we went to Bath, and I remember looking through it and seeing this really cool plant. This top one right here. As you can see, part of the leaf is green and then the tips are almost as if they were like dunked in pink and white paint. And then we were walking around Bath and I literally just walked right past this plant and it was that one, and I had never seen that plant in my life before, so it was so cool to see it in the book and then go to Bath and actually see it in person. It was just amazing. Just a fun little anecdote, when I was younger, my parents have this little brown Field Guide to Trees book. I remember as a child looking through that book and just being fascinated by all the different trees and all the pictures, and so I have always had a love and interest in different field guide books because I just find them fascinating, and being able to have like this type of reference book and this type of resource tangible. I often use Google Images if I don't know a flower or an animal or something that I see. I'll take a picture and I'll upload it to Google Images and it'll tell you what it is. But I think it's so much more fun to try and look for something in a tangible book and in a tangible item. This one is a slightly more nerdy gardener's purchase, but I am very happy with it. The next two items my mom very generously bought for me at Persephone Books. She fell in love with the shop. It's such a beautiful place. If you are ever in Bath, ever in England, I can't recommend stopping into Persephone Books enough. I actually didn't buy any books this time because last time when Leon and I went, we bought 3 books and I have yet to read any of them. So I told myself I'm not allowed to buy any books until I read those. But my mom did gift me some non-bookish items. So the first thing is this beautiful postcard from Persephone Books, which is a lovely illustration of the storefront. And this is from Todd Harvey. I think he's the illustrator, from 2021. And on the back it just says Persephone Books with the address. But I really love this postcard. It's such a beautiful illustration. My mom and I really love collecting postcards from different places, so we wanted to get one from Persephone. Then the other bookish item my mom actually saw first, and that is a fabric little book sleeve from Persephone. As you can see, the logo is there. Such a beautiful material, and when my mom showed this to me, I completely fell in love with it. It has a magnetic snap, and then you could put your book right in here and it'll keep it nice and safe. I think it'll fit a lot of different sized books, which is always helpful and useful, but I think it's so beautiful. I love the logo, and these are some of my favorite colors. I really love blue and green, which you will see in the rest of this haul. I have a lot of other blue and green items, but I'm so thankful that my mom gifted this to me because it's so beautiful and another wonderful memory from our trip. So my family is very sentimental when we travel to different places, or just in general. We're just very sentimental people. So objects often for us aren't just objects. They are attached to the memory of where we got that object and how much fun we were having. So I'm glad that that memory can live on a little bit in this item. Whenever I use it, I can think of that. Then the next 3 items that I picked up in Bath, my mom also gifted to me. She was very generous on this trip, and those are more postcards. So the first one is an aerial shot of the streets in Bath. So I believe Persephone Books is around here on this road. So we walked this way, up this road. This is the circus, so we walked through the circus and then up this road, and this is the Royal Crescent. So it's so cool to be able to see this kind of view of where we were walking. So very grateful to have been gifted this one as well. And then these two are absolutely stunning. We picked these up and this one in the Royal Crescent bookshop, which is right next to the Royal Crescent. And this one is the Royal Crescent and this one is Pulteney Bridge. The back says Wendy Yun Studio, so I believe that is the illustrator. But these are gorgeous and I definitely want to frame them and maybe put them together next to each other because they look so beautiful next to each other, and I absolutely love these colors. It's just such a stunning illustration. The next item I wanted to show you is not bookish at all, but it's so beautiful, and that is this little flower bowl. So currently I have some of my lip products in here, which this was on my vanity. This, if you care, is the lip product that I'm wearing right now. It is one of the new L'Oreal Paris lip oils in the color 601 Worth It. I just want to show you, without spilling all of my lip products, how beautiful this bowl is. My mom picked up one for me, one for my sister Claire, and one for her. We got this in Bristol. Something that I really like doing is making sure that when I travel, I not only get souvenirs that are like magnets or sweatshirts with the location on it, but items that I will use on a daily basis that will be able to be part of my home, and I can remember like, oh yeah, we bought this bowl in Bristol. And I just like having more everyday items from different places, as well as more blatant souvenirs, if that makes sense. So let me know if you like collecting anything in particular when you travel. But I just wanted to show you that because I thought it was so beautiful. Okay, back to books. This next book I bought when we were in Notting Hill. So we actually ended up watching the movie Notting Hill before we went to London so that we could really get into the spirit of being in London and being in Notting Hill. We went to Notting Hill the first day that we got to London, and I picked up this book in Daunt Books. Their big store is in Marylebone, but I didn't realize that they have a little shop in Notting Hill. And this next book is in a similar vein to my flower field guide and my obsessing over the spring flowers and British gardens. A show that my parents really like watching on YouTube is Carol Klein's Exploring Different English Gardens. I forgot what the actual series is called, but we were watching quite a few of those episodes while we were in Bristol together. We were just in such a garden appreciation, flower appreciation mood. Anyway, the book is The Garden Against Time in Search of a Common Paradise by Olivia Laing. And this, first of all, is such a stunning cover. I absolutely love the cover design. And I was seeing this book going around on Instagram. Someone recommended it for people who love gardening and for people who love flowers. And then I read the back and I was like, this book needs to come home with me. It says, in 2020, Olivia Laing began to restore a walled garden in Suffolk, an overgrown Eden of unusual plants. The work drew them into an exhilarating investigation of paradise and its long association with gardens. Moving between real and imagined gardens, from Milton's Paradise Lost to Derek Jarman's Dungeness, from a wartime sanctuary in Italy to an aristocratic pleasure ground funded by slavery, Laing interrogates the sometimes shocking cost of making paradise on Earth, and finds utopian outposts amid the flower beds. The Garden Against Time illuminates the pleasures and possibilities of gardens, not as a place to hide from the world, but as a site of fertile encounter and discovery. That completely captured my heart and soul just on the back cover. And then I started reading it. I think my bookmark should still be in here. Yeah, so you can see there is my bookmark from the books in Notting Hill, and also these beautiful illustrations that are found throughout the book. And I got up to chapter 2. I only read chapter 1, but just from chapter 1, I have already been in love with this book. It's so beautifully written and very vivid. The imagery and the descriptions are beautiful. It's a nonfiction book, obviously, if you couldn't tell from the back. And the way that Olivia Lang writes about gardens and flowers and nature, it is like just from the inner parts of my soul. I relate so much to how she feels about nature and gardening, and I have just been adoring this. So if you also love nature and gardening and plants and flowers, then I highly recommend looking into this book, because just from chapter 1, I already know that I'm going to love every single part of this book, and I can't wait to keep reading it. It's also such perfect timing right now because I'm so in the mood to be outside, to be among the flowers and the trees and the plants, and to read a book like this outside, I think is so perfect. So cannot recommend this one enough, even though I've only read just 1 chapter. I completely forgot that I also bought 3 books in Topping in Bath, which was so fun. We took my parents into there, and my dad was like climbing on the ladder because they have ladders. So the books that I picked up in Topping, the first one is also from John Steinbeck, and that is To a God Unknown. And I love these Penguin Modern Classic editions. These are some of the older ones. The newer ones are in the like teal spine, which I also bought a few of those as well. So this one is To a God Unknown. I have quite a few John Steinbeck books that I have read on my shelves. I also have quite a few that I have not read on my shelves. So I'm excited to read more and more John Steinbeck the more that I fall in love with his writing. So this one sounds absolutely fascinating. It says, one of Steinbeck's earliest novels, To a God Unknown, powerfully explores man's relationship to nature and destiny. With his father's reluctant blessing, Joseph Wayne leaves the family home in Vermont and travels west to fulfill his dream of creating a prosperous farm. Settling in an idyllic Californian valley, Joseph comes to believe that a magnificent oak tree that hangs over his new house embodies his father's spirit. Joseph invites his brothers and their families to join him, and the farm flourishes. Then one brother, frightened by what he thinks are Joseph's pagan beliefs, destroys the tree. ... That sounds fascinating. I love this connection to the power of nature, and also I have always been interested in farming and gardening, and I love those types of settings, those types of stories, and I really can't wait to read this one because it sounds brilliant. The next one I picked up, I actually already own a copy of this book, and it's on my 2025 TBR, but I only own it in the Penguin Clothbound edition, and I don't normally love reading from my Penguin Clothbound books because I'm scared of ruining them. So I saw this edition, thought it was so beautiful, and I really just wanted it in paperback so that I can annotate it and not care too much. Although I will take good care of it. I always try to take very good care of my books, but that's my reasoning around wanting to get another copy of this book, even though I haven't read it yet. I have a feeling I'm going to love it though, and that is Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. How stunning is this photograph? I just love this cover so much. And this is a retelling of one of the characters found in Jane Eyre. And Jane Eyre is one of my favorite classics. It is the classic that got me into reading classics. Jane Eyre holds such a special place in my heart. The character that is highlighted in this story is a character that doesn't really get much of a voice in Jane Eyre, and I'm so excited to see how this story unfolds and what is shown and told about that character. And I think it's going to be a wonderful, fascinating read, and I can't wait to get to it this year. I'm very happy to have this beautiful Penguin Modern Classic edition now. I truly love these so much, and the color is beautiful. I love this minty green, which, like I said, you will see more of. Then the next book that I got from Topping is Bonjour Tristesse by François Sagan, and I really want to read this summer. I've been looking out for some classics that feel perfect for spring and summer, and a lot of you and a lot of people in general recommend reading this book during the summer. And even as you can tell from the front cover with this girl laying out in the sun, I believe she's on the beach, yes, with the water behind her. It's just screaming summertime to me. So I will maybe try to read this on the beach, potentially, or just outside. But this says, published when she was only 18. Can you believe that? Françoise Sagan's astonishing first novel, Bonjour Tristesse, becomes an instant bestseller. It tells the story of Céline, who leads a carefree life with her widowed father and his young mistress, until one hot summer on the Riviera, he decides to remarry, with devastating consequences. It doesn't say it on the cover, but on the spine it says Bonjour Tristesse and A Certain Smile. So there's another story in here titled A Certain Smile, and on the back it says, in A Certain Smile, Dominique, a young woman bored with her lover, begins an encounter with an older man that unfolds in unexpected and troubling ways. So I'm mainly excited to read Bonjour Tristesse, although I am also excited to read A Certain Smile, but I'm hoping to read this one in the summertime, and I can't wait to tell you what I think of it. This next book I picked up in the Waterstones in Bath, and that is Antoine de Saint-Exupéry's Southern Mail and Night Flight. So I read Night Flight earlier this year and I fell in love with it, and I love these editions. The Penguin Moderns are so beautiful. I love this cover, and I have another edition of Night Flight, but this one also comes with the story Southern Mail, which my other edition of Night Flight doesn't have. So I'm really excited to read Southern Mail and to have another edition of Night Flight. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is of course the writer of The Little Prince, which is one of my all-time favorite books, absolutely ever. That book is just written into my heart, and I loved Night Flight. I can't wait to read more of his other stories surrounding aviation because he was a pilot, and I highly recommend checking out Night Flight, but I'm also really excited to read Southern Mail, like I said. Of course I'm excited. I feel like I say that all the time and I apologize. It's just a reflex at this point. The last book that I picked up while we were in Bath is this beautiful edition of Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. I know I have a lot of John Steinbeck books in this book haul. That is because I am loving East of Eden, and I love many of his other stories. The first John Steinbeck book I read was Of Mice and Men in high school, and I loved it so much. I loved studying it. Then I've also read The Pearl and The Moon is Down, which I loved all three, and I'm loving East of Eden. Oh, it's so nice and floppy. Look at that. Wow. I sometimes like reading bigger, thicker books in a smaller edition, especially if it's nice and floppy, because I just find it a more enjoyable reading experience. I'm really excited to read this one. I don't want to know too much of what it's about. I think it has similar themes to East of Eden, and I just love everything that John Steinbeck writes. The next book I have to show you I got at Hatchard's. And I went into the store and I saw this book, and I fell in love with the cover, The Heat of the Day by Elizabeth Bowen. And I've never heard of Elizabeth Bowen before. We also went to see Big Ben the day before we went to Hatchard's, and the fact that Big Ben is on this cover really captured me and made me feel like it would be a nice token of remembering that, even though of course I'm never gonna forget we went to see Big Ben, but I just loved that Big Ben was on the cover. I opened it, these stunning end papers, look at how beautiful those are. They have gorgeous irises, and as you can see, it's numbered. So it says, this limited edition has been produced exclusively for Hatchard's as part of the Hatchard's library. This is number 120 of 2000. Under the dust jacket, it is this beautiful green. The inside cover says, when John Hatchard opened his shop in 1797, he was a publisher as well as a bookseller. We are proud to revive that tradition with the Hatchard's Library, a collection of the very best books which will, over the years, build into a library that enlivens your mind and enhances your shelves. Each title will be reissued in an exclusive limited edition, only available at Hatchard's, and will have a cloth binding, stylish dust jacket, and beautiful end papers. The Heat of the Day is the 15th volume in the Hatchard's library. How absolutely special is that? I don't go to Hatchard's very often, and I'm not in London all the time, so I immediately felt like I had to pick this up. And then I read the back, and the story itself sounds wonderful. So it says, as the music dies away in Regent's Park and twilight descends, we find ourselves in the midst of wartime London. It's 1942, and whilst people are living recklessly in the moment, Stella has miraculously found a home and romance. Until, that is, the truculent Harrison steers himself into her life and suggests that her lover, Robert, is a Nazi informant. Preposterous as that might seem, Stella soon finds her world unraveling. Who should she believe? Who should she trust? And then it also says Elizabeth Bowen, born in 1899 and passed away in 1973, was the author of 10 novels and numerous short stories, and in 1958 was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature. During World War II, she worked as an ARP air raid precaution warden for the Ministry of Information in London. The Heat of the Day was first published in 1948. Does that not sound amazing? And also, it sounds like she had such a fascinating life, so I can't wait to read this book. Also, it has this really beautiful gold foil telephone on the back. I can't wait to read this. I have a feeling I'm going to love it, and I'm excited to tell you about it when I do eventually read it and let you know what I think of it. The next two books I picked up in a little independent bookshop in Kensington. And those are two little penguin modern classics. The first one is John Steinbeck's The Vigilante. Are we surprised we have another John Steinbeck? Because I'm not. The back says, in these searing stories set in California's Salinas Valley, which many of his stories are set, one of America's greatest, most humane writers explores mob violence, a disturbing encounter, and a bitter betrayal. That sounds amazing, and it is number 18 in the little modern classic collection. Then the next one I picked up is Shirley Jackson's The Missing Girl. I have only read We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, and I'm hoping to read The Lottery this year, which is on my 2025 TBR. But this one says, malice, deception, and creeping dread lie beneath the surface of ordinary American life in these miniature masterworks. That sounds pretty amazing. I only have one other book in these little modern classic editions, and that is I Have More Souls Than One by Fernando Pessoa, but I'm so excited to add these to my growing collection of the modern classics. This one, also The Missing Girl, is number 20. Like I said, this one is 18. Then while we were in London, I wanted to check out a stationery shop that I have heard amazing things about, and that is a stationery shop called Choosing Keeping, and oh my gosh, I cannot explain how stunning this stationery shop is. I completely fell in love with it. Unfortunately, I couldn't record anything in there, but I did take a picture of the sign outside, which is also the sign is just so stunning. And the things that I picked up at Choosing Keeping is first this gorgeous journal from Cambridge Imprint. Cambridge Imprint is a beautiful print shop, and they also sell different notebooks, and they just design all these beautiful ink prints, and they do a lot of beautiful papers and notebooks and different lovely stationery items. And recently I saw them featured in one of Ariel Bassett's videos. I believe she shared a little vlog and book haul in one of the episodes of Books Unbound, and she actually went to where they print all of the work and they do the work at Cambridge Imprint. And so when I saw that Choosing Keeping had some of Cambridge Imprint's notebooks, I got so excited. So as you can see right here, it says Cambridge Imprint, and I have just been using this book as a journal, which I love so much. The paper is so beautiful, and I'm kind of tempted to put my name on here, but I'm also scared to ruin it because I just love how it looks kind of plain as well. So I don't know if I'm going to write my name on there, but in love with this, and also it's my favorite color, or should I say favorite colors. The next thing I picked up is this stunning pen, which also matches my notebook. Look at how absolutely perfect they look together. It's silver and gold and this beautiful dusty greenish blue. Apologies if you moved, my camera was full. Anyway, I was talking about this pen and I was saying that it is some of my favorite colors. It feels so elegant and it writes really beautifully, and this green color, I just cannot get enough. I will share a picture of the brand that it is from, but I picked this up, like I said, at Choosing Keeping, and it's beautiful. And I am quite picky with my pens, and I love this one. It writes amazing, and it's a blue pen, if you're curious. Like the ink is blue. I'm not sure if that was clear. The next writing utensil that I picked up is a little fountain pen. Oh my gosh, I have been wanting a new fountain pen for the longest time. So I bought this one when I visited Emma in Toronto. Was this from my first trip or my second trip, which was in 2023. I think it was in 2023. And this is one of those little petite pilot pens. Unfortunately, the ink isn't refillable because I can't open to the ink cartridge, and I love this thing so much. It's just a tiny fountain pen, but the ink is nearly run out, and I've been so sad about it. I haven't been wanting to use it because I don't want the ink to run out. But anyway, I have been really wanting a new fountain pen, particularly one that was on the smaller side, and thankfully my husband Leon has done quite a bit of research on fountain pens, and he was telling me about this brand that they had at Choosing Keeping. It is a German brand, and it is called Koiko? Koiko. Am I saying that correctly? I don't know why my Long Island accent, even though it's an O. Koiko. I'm struggling. Anyway, that is the brand. I tested the pen out at Choosing Keeping, and I loved how it wrote, and then I picked out what color I wanted. I got this beautiful greenish color, which also matches my notebook and my other pen. I love color coordinating. I also love this color, so I had to get this one. It has really beautiful silver writing, which has the name that I cannot pronounce, Koiko Collection, and it has a little silver detailing at the top. So you twist it, and then we have the beautiful, look at how gorgeous that is. And it writes beautifully. So thankfully these pens can be refillable. You just have to change out the ink cartridges. And I got some light gray ink, which is so beautiful. I love a nice light gray ink. They had a bunch of different ink colors that you could choose from. They also had a bunch of different pen colors that you could choose from, but I picked this green and gray. Also, this might be quite a huge statement, but I think I've cracked the code of being consistent with journaling, because for years and years and years, my whole life, I have loved buying journals and then I write one page and then I never write another page. I think the key is to love your writing utensils so much that you want to use them every day. I also feel like sometimes if you have really beautiful notebooks, you find it harder to write in them because you don't want to ruin your notebook. But I'm trying to remind myself how silly that is because I've felt that way as well. If you feel this way, I hope to encourage you to just write in your notebooks. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your handwriting doesn't have to be amazing. I just think if it's important for you to write consistently, then what has helped me with these items so far, even though I haven't been writing in this journal for very long, I just bought it recently, but I want to use these so badly that it makes me excited and it makes me want to and have the impulse to write in my journal. That has blown my mind because I have always found it really hard to consistently keep up with a journal, and now it's just been really fun to write. Anyway, that's what I have to say about journaling. Also, now every time I go back to London, I am going to have to stop into Choose and Keeping because that store is a dream. If you love stationery, you have to go there. Then the next place we went to has a bit of a slightly disappointing outcome. So we were staying in Kensington and we were right around the corner from the V&A Museum, and for years I have been wanting to go to the V&A Museum to see Beatrix Potter's artwork because from what I thought that they had a collection of Beatrix Potter's original artwork. We went there, I was so excited, it was beautiful, we went into the garden, we also had tea and some sweet treats in the cafe, which that cafe and that garden is stunning, absolutely stunning. Anyway, so we went into the gift shop and we were looking around in the gift shop a little bit, and then Leon went to ask someone where the Beatrix Potter artwork was, and they said that it was no longer there. And then I walked over and she was like, yeah, it was here, but then it's not here anymore. And you know, if you go to the Lake District and you go to the Beatrix Potter Museum, which is her house, then they definitely have artwork there. And I was just like, okay. It was so funny because I would love to go to the Lake District, but I was just kind of thinking like, I can't go to the Lake District. I'm in London. The Lake District is so far away. I wanted to see her artwork so badly, but it's okay. I would eventually love to go to Hilltop Farm, which is Beatrix Potter's house, which is now a museum, which is what that woman was talking about. And that is an absolute dream of mine. I would love that. But anyway, I did see this postcard, so I decided to pick it up just as a little memento of going to the V&A to find Beatrix Potter's artwork, yet it wasn't there. This is a drawing of a rabbit hiding under a bush, which was an unused illustration from The Tale of Peter Rabbit. We did look around at the other artwork, and I went into the different galleries that have the paintings and the sculptures, and it was absolutely beautiful. We also walked through an area with a bunch of stained glass, and it was amazing. I'm so glad that we went. It was also my first time going to a museum in England, in London, because the previous times I've gone, we haven't gone to a museum, and it was so wonderful because I was an art history student, and also I studied illustration in uni, and I took a bunch of art history courses. I love walking around museums and looking at paintings and admiring artwork and art history, and it was just so wonderful. So although I didn't see Beatrix Potter's artwork, it was still an absolutely wonderful experience, and the V&A is so beautiful. Then something really sweet that my mom did. So when I was going around the little independent bookshop in Kensington, which is the shop that I bought these two books in, apparently right next door to that shop was a little stationery store, and when I was in the bookshop, my mom went into the stationery store and found this really cute little card, and I already framed it. For some reason, I have had this frame in a spare closet, empty. I have been waiting for some kind of piece of artwork or something to fill it, but I just haven't, and it just so happened that this little piece of artwork fit in that frame perfectly. and it is this amazing illustration of Mrs. Tiggy Winkle from Beatrix Potter's story. Is that not the sweetest illustration you've ever seen? And it matches the wooden color of the frame so perfectly, and I just absolutely adore her. When my mom gave it to me, it was just, it warmed my heart because my mom read me The Tale of Peter Rabbit and a bunch of Beatrix Potter's other works when I was growing up, so it feels really special to us, which is why I was so excited to go to the V&A and see her actual artwork. But anyway, it's just quite funny to me now. Okay, I am nearly done. If you have made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I am so sorry it has taken me so long to go through all of these things. I've just been so excited to show you them. I have two more things to show you. One of them is a book and another one is not a book, but it's bookish. These two items were gifts from my parents as a thank you for Leon and I showing them around and being their tour guides, because Leon and I kind of planned all of what we did and we set everything up for them to make it as fun and carefree as possible. We just wanted them to have a really fun time, and we did, which was so great. And so they gave me these little items as a thank you. The first one is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan in the UK paperback edition. When we were in the small Waterstones in Clifton, my mom pointed out this book and said, "Oh, isn't that the one that you love?" And I said, "Yes, but I don't have the UK edition and it's so beautiful." And I studied this painting in my art history courses, and so I love the painting, I love the book, and I didn't buy it for myself, although I wanted it, because I already own a copy of the book, and even though it's a favorite of mine, I just felt guilty. And so without me realizing it, and with me, when I was in another room, she very sneakily bought it for me and then gave it to me once we were back home in New York as a thank you. I love Small Things Like These so much. Claire Keegan is one of my favorite writers. This is one of my favorite books. And we also watched the movie recently. Well, it was in, I think, November we watched the movie. We went to the movie theater in Bristol, and it was such an amazing adaptation, so faithful to the story, and I'm so glad to finally have this beautiful edition of it now, and to remember that it was a thank you gift is really sweet. The last bookish thing I have to show you is another thing that my mom sneakily bought for me, and it has a bit of a funny story. So I bought my mom this fridge magnet with Mr. Darcy's face on it, and it just had like a little label that said Mr. Darcy on it, but it was the Matthew McFadden Mr. Darcy from the 2005 movie, because my mom and I are obsessed with the 2005 Pride and Prejudice, and she loves Mr. Darcy, especially Matthew McFadden as Mr. Darcy. And so I bought that fridge magnet for her for Christmas as kind of a joke. And so anyway, we went to Bath with her and my dad, and we went into the Jane Austen Center gift shop. We didn't do the tour, but I just wanted to show her the gift shop, and I was showing her all the different adorable little Jane Austen things, and then all four of us left the gift shop, and then my mom was like, "You guys wait out here for a minute, I just have to go back in for something." And so she went back in and she bought something, but she didn't tell me what it was. And then once we got home, when she gave me the Small Things Like These books, she also gave me this. It is a Mr. Darcy ornament. When I came back to New York in December, I brought home this ornament, which is of Jane Austen, and she said that I had to have Mr. Darcy. So I gifted her Mr. Darcy, and now she gifted me Mr. Darcy. I have a feeling I'm going to have to keep collecting these. Mr. Darcy is the last thing I have to show you, and I think we are finishing this video off on a bang. So happy to now have him with Jane. Okay, I think that is everything. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have made it to the end, I love you and I appreciate you. Again, thank you so much for being here and watching. And don't forget, my Etsy restock is happening this Friday, May 2nd at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I am so grateful for all of you, and I just want to say a really, 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 really big thank you for the millionth time. You guys mean the world to me, and I hope you're having a wonderful day reading some amazing books, and as always, happy reading.